Witam Państwa. Już chyba możemy zacząć nasze kolejne spotkanie z cyklu opowieści o Jenkinsie razem z firmą CloudBees. Dzisiaj także ciekawe bardzo spotkanie. O nim zaraz opowie Bartek Niwiński. Ja widzę, że tutaj coraz więcej osób nas dołącza, więc już możemy tak naprawdę zaczynać. Dzisiaj będziemy mówić o kolejnym elemencie, który jest nam potrzebny, jeżeli chodzi o CloudBees, tym razem CloudBees CI. O tym opowie Bartek Niwiński razem ze Stefanem. Może dla wszystkich, którzy nas nie znają, może opowiem kilka słów dosłownie o OSEC-u. Jesteśmy firmą, która wspiera Państwa w środowiskach IT już ponad 11 lat. Zaczęliśmy od szerokiej gamy edukacyjnej, jeżeli chodzi o szkolenia, zarówno Red Hatowe, SUSE, czy w innych obszarach związanych z open source'em. Od kilku już ładnych lat także wspieramy Państwa przy wdrożeniach najróżniejszych systemów informatycznych. Nie chcę się za dużo tutaj o nas rozgadywać, bo to nie jest przedmiotem naszego dzisiejszego spotkania. Co mogę tak naprawdę Państwu powiedzieć? Proszę pamiętać o tym, że jeżeli jakiekolwiek pytania są, jakiekolwiek rzeczy, w których możemy pomóc, proszę nas pytać. Mój adres mailowy filip@osec.pl jest do Państwa dyspozycji, telefon także, więc jeżeli tylko w czymś będziemy mogli pomóc, to serdecznie zapraszam. Co więcej mogę powiedzieć? Dzisiaj o prezentacji naszej weźmie udział Stefan Kures. Zapraszam do zadawania pytań. Te pytania będą, no na pewno będziemy na wszystkie odpowiadać. Ile się uda zmieścić dzisiaj w prezentacji, to tyle odpowiemy. Jeżeli nie, to tak jak wcześniej, wszystkie pytania zbieram, nie pozostawię ich bez odpowiedzi, a najciekawsze pytania będziemy promować wysłaniem naszych książek o Jenkinsie. Więc tak jak mówię, zapraszam do zadawania ciekawych pytań, bo one bardzo mocno wzbogacają przede wszystkim to, o czym Państwo chcecie wiedzieć, i wzbogacają naszą informację, dla nas informację o tym, o czym tak naprawdę potem będziemy jeszcze mówić, jakie problemy Państwo macie i czego od nas możecie się Państwo dowiedzieć. Ja może szybko tutaj przekażę pałeczkę Bartkowi Niwińskiemu, który opowie Państwu dalej o naszej agendzie, opowie także o tym, co się będzie dalej działo. Bartek, wysyłam Cię na żywo, już jesteś.
Dzień dobry, Bartek Niwiński. Jakbyś mógł, Filip, pokazać kolejny slajd, to będę wdzięczny z Twojej prezentacji.
Jest już. Idzie.
Szanowni Państwo, Bartek Niwiński, dzień dobry jeszcze raz. Dla osób, które nie znają mnie, krótkie przedstawienie. Ja odpowiadam za biznes firmy CloudBees w regionie wschodniej Europy, ale oczywiście Polska jest naszym tutaj kluczowym rynkiem. Dzisiaj będziemy troszkę wychodzili poza obszary CI, bo będziemy mówili o takim temacie, który nazywa się Application Orchestration, czyli orkiestracja wydań, który to temat wydaje się być bardzo ważny i coraz ważniejszy w firmach, które jakby myślą o zarządzaniu tym procesem, o większej dojrzałości tego procesu w skomplikowanych architekturach aplikacji, w architekturach, które łączą ze sobą wielość technologii, wielość zespołów, różne modele delivery, deploymentowe i tak dalej, bo To, co jest z mojej perspektywy kluczowe, to fakt, że application release orchestration to nie jest tylko deployment automation. Gdybyś, Filip, mógł przełączyć na następny slajd. To nie chodzi tylko o automatyzację wdrożeń. Jak myślimy o release'ach w takich skomplikowanych organizacjach, to posługując się tutaj przykładami z prawdziwych przypadków, z którymi mieliśmy styczność, gdyby rozrysować te release'y, czy w jakikolwiek sposób próbować mapować, jak one wyglądają, one są często bardzo skomplikowanymi procesami, z wieloma zależnościami, z integracją z wieloma narzędziami, środowiskami w różnych krokach tego procesu. Mamy do czynienia z wieloma zespołami i osobami, które uczestniczą w tym procesie. I tu nie chodzi tylko i wyłącznie o automatyzację samych wdrożeń, bo automatyzacja samych wdrożeń nie daje wielu aspektów, które są ważne w doskonaleniu procesu zarządzania release'ami. Jakbyś mógł, Filip, następny slajd. Application Release Orchestration to jest po prostu dyscyplina programowania, to jest narzędzie, które pozwala firmom na poprawienie jakości i szybkości zarządzania wdrożeniami i wydaniami. Takie 3 albo nawet 4 ważne elementy, o których dzisiaj Stefan będzie mówił za chwilę, dotyczą zarządzania pipeline'em release'owym oraz środowiskami, które biorą udział w tym procesie, orkiestracją tych release'ów, czyli orkiestracją różnych zadań i zależności w ramach danego release'u albo pomiędzy release'ami, tak? I że tak powiem, to, co jest ważne, ale co nie jest jedynie krytyczne, to jest automatyzacja deploymentów. My będziemy dzisiaj mówili o rozwiązaniu, które nazywa się CloudBees CD. Ja wolę mówić o tym rozwiązaniu CloudBees CD łamane przez Arrow, bo nie chcielibyśmy sugerować, że CloudBees CD to jest narzędzie do continuous delivery. Owszem, jeżeli firmy chcą myśleć o ciągłości wydań, o takim budowaniu takiej dojrzałości tego procesu, to w skomplikowanych środowiskach aplikacyjnych orkiestracja tych release'ów jest prawdopodobnie konieczna, ale w szczególności można sobie wyobrażać, że ona jest bardzo przydatna również w tradycyjnych metodykach, czy to waterfallowych, czy w ogóle w takim podejściu do zarządzania tym procesem, niezależnie od tego, czy mówimy o tradycyjnych aplikacjach, czy nowoczesnych, czy jak wiele zespołów w tym uczestniczy. Chodzi o to, żeby dawać jeden poziom oglądu tego procesu dla wielu ludzi, dla wielu zespołów, żeby zarządzać tym procesem z jednego miejsca, żeby integrować te wszystkie elementy w jednym miejscu. Następny slajd, proszę. Tak jak już wspominałem, Application Release Orchestration to orkiestracja release'ów pomiędzy wszystkimi środowiskami od poziomu środowisk deweloperskich do produkcyjnych. To również zarządzanie pipeline'em release'owym, zarządzanie środowiskami, które biorą udział w tym procesie, a także automatyzacja deploymentów. To narzędzie ma odbiorców różnego rodzaju, dlatego że mogą być to odbiorcy zarówno techniczni, jak i powiedzmy mniej techniczni czy nietechniczni, dlatego że narzędzie oprócz tej wartości powiedzmy narzędziowej czy funkcjonalnej daje również ogląd sytuacji, daje również możliwość zbierania danych, daje również możliwość raportowania i analizy procesu pod kątem wyszukiwania w tym procesie wąskich gardeł i usprawnień, bo w końcu chodzi o to, żeby przy dobrym zarządzaniu tym procesem mierzyć ten proces i go usprawniać po to, żeby skracać czas dostarczania aplikacji, po to, żeby jakby optymalizować koszty dostarczania tych aplikacji, no i oczywiście zwiększać jakość i ograniczać ryzyko. Następny slajd, jakbyś Filip mógł, proszę. To, o czym dzisiaj będziemy mówili, co chciałbym podkreślić, to fakt, że dobre rozwiązanie w tym zakresie powinno dawać maksymalną elastyczność, ale pod pełną kontrolą. I co przez to rozumiemy? Już trochę o tym mówiłem, ale powtórzę. Ta elastyczność to możliwość stosowania przy różnych typach wydań, czy to continuous delivery, czy waterfall, czy kombinacja tych dwóch. W dowolnej praktycznie infrastrukturze, czy to natywnej chmurowo, czy kontenerowej, czy to w przypadku fizycznych serwerów, czy wirtualnych, dowolnych aplikacji. Również to, o czym będziemy mówili, to fakt, że rozwiązanie CloudBees CD nie stara się tutaj zastąpić narzędzia, które w wielu firmach są wykorzystywane w wielu miejscach tego procesu przez zespoły, które dają wartość. To narzędzie jest bardziej takim orkiestratorem tego procesu i stara się wypełnić tą lukę, powiedzmy, w tym obszarze, a nie zastępować poszczególne funkcjonalności. Także kwestia jakby wdrożenia technicznego, czy to jest wdrożenia agentowe, czy bazagentowe. Wspomniałem już o odbiorcach, osoby techniczne, nietechniczne, różne interfejsy użycia, o których dzisiaj będziemy mówili, czy to interfejs aplikacji, czy to dostarczanie, zarządzanie tym procesem jako kodem. To wszystko powoduje, że jest bardzo duża elastyczność zastosowania tego narzędzia, ale pod kontrolą, ponieważ mamy możliwość budowania quality gate'ów pomiędzy krokami tego procesu. Możemy obsługiwać workflow akceptacyjny, jeżeli taki jest konieczny. Oczywiście zarządzamy dostępnością w zależności od roli, modelujemy aplikacje, dajemy wgląd w raporty audytowe, dajemy wgląd w dane o tym, jak ten proces wygląda, jakie są KPI, jak go mierzymy. To wszystko powoduje, że ta dojrzałość tego procesu przy wsparciu tego narzędzia może być dużo większa. I ostatni slajd, Filip. To w kontekście jakby business case'u, czy w ogóle zastanawiania się, dlaczego warto rozważać takie narzędzie, to warto, dlatego że za stosowaniem takiego narzędzia kryją się po prostu metryki biznesowe, które mogą być wartością dla firmy. Wspomniałem już skrócenie czasu dostarczenia aplikacji, zwiększenie jakości tych aplikacji, pełna transparencja tego procesu pomiędzy wieloma osobami z wielu zespołów, które oczywiście mogą mieć różne role i w różny sposób widzieć różny dostęp do tego systemu, ale widzialność tego, co się dzieje, powinna być jedna. Również bardzo ważna kwestia optymalizacji kosztów, jak i zwiększenia dobrej utylizacji infrastruktury. Bardzo ciekawym takim obszarem metryki z mojej perspektywy jest to, co mówią nam klienci, ale co dotyczy retencji pracowników, to znaczy ludzie, którzy pracują i być może się frustrują tym, że robią wiele rzeczy, które wydają się być jakby frustrujące dla nich, co może powodować, nie wiem, chęć odejścia z firmy. Dzięki jakby stosowaniu tego typu narzędzi mogą się bardziej skupić na rzeczach, które chcą robić i które ich satysfakcjonują i przynoszą wartość firmie. I to powoduje, że faktycznie obserwowany jest też taki efekt uboczny w postaci większej lojalności pracowników w stosunku do naszej firmy. To są te główne elementy takiego business case'u. Oczywiście, jeżeli byście Państwo byli zainteresowani w dalszych krokach, możemy o tym porozmawiać po tym webinarze. Natomiast z mojej perspektywy to, co chciałbym, żebyście zwrócili uwagę, to jest właśnie fakt, że CloudBees CD to taki orkiestrator, który nie konkuruje z narzędziami, które dzisiaj wykorzystujecie, łączy zespoły, łączy technologię, łączy aplikacje i daje uzyski biznesowe, o których wspomniałem. Myślę, że to jest moment, gdzie moglibyśmy poprosić naszego kolegę Stefana o zabranie głosu. Stefan, I think it's the high time you...
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. As everybody knows, I don't speak Polish, but I heard my name, so I believe now it's my turn. Let me start sharing my screen. And I believe you can see my browser. Can you see my browser?
Yes, it's live, you're live, and your browser is also live.
Perfect, and I'm in presentation mode, am I?
You are, yes.
Perfect, good. So also welcome from my side. Thanks to everybody for joining and participating in this webinar. And I will give you a little bit more of a practical overview about CloudBees CD and how our customers solve the challenges of release orchestration at scale. So, I mean, the introduction is already done. Very short message. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or on Xing. So happy to expand my network. I'm working for CloudBees now for many years, and I'm working in the DevOps space for even longer. So yeah, it's still challenging. It's a really fun area to work in. But let's jump into the more interesting topics of today's session, and it's all about a specific solution I would like to highlight, and I would like to give you an introduction. So today I'm talking about CloudBees CD, and as you can see here, CloudBees, we as a successful software vendor, we are providing a specific platform which is called Software Delivery Automation. And this platform, Software Delivery Automation, provides different capabilities, and each and every of those capabilities is implemented by a specific point solution. Today it's about CloudBees CD, and I will jump into that product in a few seconds. But I think what's also important to mention here, and this is something what we are really proud about, is that we are coming from a specific area. We started 10 years ago as, let's say, the Jenkins company, because we are the one and only software vendor in this market providing enterprise Jenkins. So we have open source roots, but as you can see here, our portfolio grew over the last 10 years. And we are covering different areas of the DevOps, of the various DevOps use cases, including release orchestration, deployment automation, feature flagging, and so on. Again, let's talk about CloudBees CD, and let's talk a little bit more about the use cases and the challenges we solve. And if you don't mind, what I typically prefer, rather than doing many slides, if you don't mind, I will jump directly into the product. So let me switch my tabs, and I will jump directly into the product. And guys, please follow me and let me help to understand whether you can see the product now.
Okay, we can see it, yes.
Perfect. So this is already our modern web user interface. You can see here, this is CloudBees CD, or this continuous delivery capability of the software delivery automation platform. And to give you a quick overview about that user interface, you can see here in the left top, there we have specific navigation items, which also gives you a great indication about the various use cases and the various areas we are addressing. So something what Bartek already mentioned before about release orchestration, which means we are able to orchestrate release pipelines at scale. We are also able to cover the area of deployment automation, which means we are able to model applications, environments, and all the necessary data you typically need to be able to fully automatically deploy your application services. And then obviously all the other administrative ingredients within our platform, within our solution, to be able to set up everything and to be able to maintain everything at scale. So let's talk about a specific example I prepared for you. As you can see here, I prepared a specific release pipeline. So let's take a look at this release pipeline. And I hope the screen resolution is okay for everybody. If not, please use the chat functionality, and I'm happy to adjust. However, what am I presenting you here? This is a release pipeline, and yeah, I mean the term pipeline is used by different products, I know, but I believe the concept of a pipeline is very similar, right? So a pipeline consists of different stages or phases. You have different tasks in your pipeline which might be executed in parallel or sequentially. You maybe need to model some dependencies in here to point to other release pipelines. And in my example, as you can see here, I do have different phases. And this is due to my demo system, right? Please always keep in mind, our solution is really flexible and we are typically adapting to your needs. We typically try to understand how your releases are working, and then we are able to model it properly in our solution. So in this specific case, we have a release readiness phase. This is more or less representing kind of a preparation phase in my release. We have a quality assurance phase. And in the background of this specific phase, it's mapped to an environment, to the Q environment. We have a pre-production and a production phase. And as you and depending on your needs, each and every of those phases might be mapped and linked to an environment. What we also typically do is we need to connect that specific release pipeline and be connected to different applications. Because what is a release typically doing? A release makes sure that different applications, different application versions are properly released and deployed to your environments. And those activities might be fully automatic or maybe are manually, right? And maybe you already have some existing pipelines or automation tools in place like Jenkins, like Ansible. You only want to orchestrate, or you have maybe some manual activities you want to automate using CloudBees CD. So let me show you how to start that specific release, that release pipeline. And you know, we have an object model approach, which means the goal should be to have everything reusable and parameterized. And you can see here that I'm handing over specific parameters. I'm showing this to you that you see what's going on, but in reality, you're typically handing over those parameters using our REST API, so it's really fully automated end to end. So I'm handing over all the parameters, and as you can see now, this is now a running release pipeline within our product. And the beauty of this is that, you know, we are connecting to the different point solutions. Everybody's using the source code repository. Everybody's using a build system for continuous integration use cases. I assume everybody has its own artifact repository from one or the other vendor. You want to do some quality checks. So, I mean, in our market, there's so many point solutions, and our job from CloudBees perspective, from CloudBees CD perspective, is to orchestrate the different activities, to collect the data, to make sure that all the steps are done in the right sequence, with the right, you know, people having control. So role-based access control is really important. So we are able to connect the different silos. And as you can see here, plenty of tasks already finished successfully. And now the system is asking for an approval. Let me approve that specific activity here. So I approve that specific activity, and this specific approval, as you can see here, which is highlighted in a specific color at the end of my release readiness stage, this is more or less, let's call it an exit gate. An exit gate might be a manual approval, something what we have done right now, but it also might be a verification of data we collected. So we might collect the data about specific test results, about a specific, you know, CI or build pipeline reports. And this is the great thing. You're defining those conditions as an exit gate to automatically transition to the next stage. The next stage in our case is quality assurance, which is fully automatic. So that the people in the quality assurance team, they have up-to-date applications now because we automatically released and deployed the various applications and we informed them. So feedback is really crucial, and there are different ways how you might inform people. And here you can see that specific task. Let me mouse over here. So this is one of the examples I would like to show you. So we are able to integrate with Slack, with Teams and other solutions. And we send a message in a specific Slack channel. Let me highlight here now. I hope you can read it. That my application in the QA environment is up to date and the QA team can start doing their job without interruption, fully automatic. And that kind of feedback might be using our system, might be the various tools you have in place. And this integration I'm highlighting here, so the Slack message, this is technically implemented using plugins. So as part of the CloudBees CD solution, we also offer a huge list of different plugins which allow you to integrate with the different solutions out there. Like we have, obviously we have a Slack plugin. We have plugins for the different application servers. If your applications run on top of WebSphere, WebLogic, Tomcat, we have integrations for the different cloud providers like Google Cloud, Amazon, Microsoft. I hope that you're already implementing microservices architectures applications, which means we natively integrate with your Kubernetes infrastructure as well. So just take a look at our website, at our documentation. There you can find out the list of different plugins we provide, and those plugins are used in the release pipeline. So let's go back to the release pipeline. As you can see here, we have another condition or another gate rule, but in this case it allows us, or it's checking whether we are allowed to enter the pre-production. So a specific group of people is called out, like the release managers, and they need to approve or reject that specific release pipeline stage. In this case, I'm approving because I want to go to the end of that. So you can see here, again, we are proceeding, and always keep in mind the data is collected, which means I'm talking about standard out, I'm talking about standard error, I'm talking about which user did what and when. And then you can also run specific reports in regards to understanding, which helps you to understand the area for improvements. Kind of how much time did I lose in a specific phase with manual activities versus fully automated activities. So really, there are different insights, and I will show you later what kind of insights we are providing out of the box. Yes, now I'm more or less finishing a manual activity. So always keep in mind, there are cases where you need to do some manual activities. And last but not least, and this is a very common use case, before going to a productive environment, you need to make sure that you're doing this properly, which means you typically, what we see in the market, you typically need to integrate with an ITSM solution like ServiceNow. Maybe you have to approve an approval or a change item in another system. Maybe you're using Jira. So in our case, as you can see here, the last task in my pre-production phase was creating a ServiceNow ticket. And what's really, I really like it, this is really useful. Every phase in my release provides me a summary. So let me click on the summary. And here I get a very brief overview about what happened in my release phase. In this case, the pre-production phase. Here's a direct link to the recently created ServiceNow change request. So now I'm switching to ServiceNow. I will zoom in a little bit because this is really small. And you can see here, this is a new change item with specific content automatically handed over from CloudBees CD. I'm approving it because I'm the change item owner. And now it's more or less done, which means there's a bi-directional integration between our product and ServiceNow, what I'm showing you now. And without doing anything, you can see that the production phase automatically started. So let me show you. The entry gate of the production phase was the check of the change request approver. Yes, I know you should not deploy the production on Friday 2 p.m. I mean, there are typically other rules we need to consider, but this can be implemented as well. Something what I mentioned before, which means we are able to model the applications, the application components, but also the environments. And this environment model also allows you to define an environment calendar, which means we totally understand that specific companies have a calendar for release activities into their productive environments. And this is something you can do here as well as part of an environment reservation, which means you can have different conditions put together, which are later on considered as part of your automatic release pipelines. So let's take a look here. Production is more or less done. And now let's do the final check. Looks great. And now we more or less finished a complete release pipeline, this specific example in our demo system. Sounds easy, and I believe it should be easy once you start, once you start using an orchestrator, once you start using CloudBees CD, it should be straightforward to connect to the different silos and to make that streamlined and to really have as many release activities as you want because they're orchestrated, because they're connected. And as we're collecting the data, let me give you some examples. Let me show you some examples how we are able to visualize and report on the data. So you can see here, and by the way, this is just one of many examples. Every release activity is tracked. So you can see here in the context of approvers, we can give you and we can provide you that kind of approval report. So I hope you remember the different comments I entered as part of my various approvers. And you also see my username in here. You can see an exact date and time stamp, which really helps you to understand and keep track about all the activities from approval perspective. Time duration, this is a report I personally like because it helps me to understand where did I lose most of the time. And this is a really accurate report, as you can see here, because we're also counting the milliseconds, which is great. And the evidence report. Evidence report is really useful because we are collecting lots of data. Also, we kind of inject the data. So let me take this one specific example here. So my release pipeline, it's not only automatically deploying and releasing, but I need to understand what is the content of my release and where is typically the content stored. The artifacts in the artifact repository, but the content, my stories, the feature description and so on, is typically in Jira. Or let's say many companies are using Jira for that. So you can see here, we can also pull in the data of Jira and help you to put it into the context of the automated release pipeline. We can do similar activities from Git, like what happened in that specific pull request and in that specific commit, and so on. And this is more or less like the audit and compliance perspective. And going back to my release, There's also a visualized perspective. We call it the command center. And this is, I don't know whether you're familiar with the concept of value streams, but this is more or less, one of the ingredients of being able to do value stream management is also the visualization and the data part. And this is more than just, covering the build, test, deploy part. So you can see here that we are pulling in the data from Atlassian Jira, from your source code repository, from Jenkins or the enterprise version of Jenkins, which is provided by CloudBees, and so on. And this data helps you to understand whether you are having a positive trend, kind of you're improving, or is there a negative trend. You can slice down from a timing perspective. You can slice down per release, and this really helps you to understand also what happened in the past to improve future activities, because feedback is really crucial in today's world. I clicked a lot in the UI so far, and I would say there are different ways to do similar stuff, which means we also understand that more and more companies and teams are approaching the as-code aspect. So let me show you and let me prove that everything you can see in our user interface can be controlled using as-code capabilities. So even in our demo system, so if I want to run a demo like I'm doing now, I provision my new example, my new release pipeline, everything is code, which helps us to maintain everything centrally in our source code repository. And then using our automated capabilities, I can even automate my own solution, right? So CloudBees CD can automate CloudBees CD to help maintaining all the data, all the objects within our product. And the easiest way to consume our own automation capabilities is our service catalog. So let me show you here. So CloudBees CD, it's that analyst leading release orchestration solution with deployment automation and reporting capabilities. And on top of that, we also provide you that service catalog, as you can see here. And that helps our customers to make specific automated use cases easy consumable. So let me show you. I'm now almost at the end of my demo. I can consume a specific use case like this one. And this is a easy to consume service catalog item. And it will more or less unprovision my personal demo content. I can also create a new release based on a template because I'm doing a new demo. So you can see here, it's kind of a form you can define on your own, and this is then a service catalog item you can provide to specific teams to really abstract and to hide the work which is going on in the background. Because sometimes from a user perspective, I only want to consume a release deployment. I want to consume a specific automated use case without getting into the details. So this was already, let's say, a quick look into our product. So let me go back to the slides to reiterate what I showed you so far. By the way, I hope my slides are active again and everybody's with me. Perfect. Yeah, so CloudBees CD, our solution provides you different ingredients. So we are able to talk about deployment automation, release orchestration, and our visualization component, which helps you to provide, that kind of dashboards, reports on top of the data. And what is important to understand is that the deployment automation part is sometimes already implemented, because companies out there, they are doing deployment automation, maybe already with open source Jenkins, enterprise Jenkins, Ansible. This is fine. You're not forced to replace this. You can keep on using what already works fine, but we help you to model it, to make it seamless integrated in your release activities. So you model your applications, the environments, the automated pipelines or automated playbooks get orchestrated by CloudBees CD. And we can put those automated activities into our release pipelines, which means you're not only deploying one application, but having release orchestration capabilities, you can orchestrate a list of applications, many application versions. You can put them into dependencies. You can define specific responsibilities, who's allowed to release what and where. And once you're doing this, we have the data. Everything is centrally stored, everything is centrally visualized within CloudBees CD and the progress. And please keep in mind, I already explained the concept of the plugins by highlighting the Slack plugin. So we have a list of different integrations or plugins covering different areas, traditional areas like application servers, databases, but also new areas like Kubernetes, cloud, the different test automation solutions, and so on. But the message to you is there's maybe a plugin missing, that's okay. But then we have generic integrations, which means we're able to communicate with any web service API, command line interfaces, or you can even build your own plugin if you want to. So this is more or less like that integration ecosystem, which helps you to reuse and don't reinvent the wheel. So let me quickly walk through that slide. And I believe, yeah, by the way, this session today is recorded, so you can walk through that list later on as well. I will not read it for you, but the message here is that we feel confident to say that we are, the market leading release orchestrator. And this is also, by the way, confirmed by the analysts, Forrester and Gartner. And here's, let's say, the highlights, a list of highlights, the reasons why we are bleeding edge and why we are leading that category. And this is really something we are really proud of, and we are also happy to prove this if this is necessary. Good. And something else what we are proud of, I mean, lots of things we are proud of, it's where we are coming from. So yeah, I'm also a big fan of open source. You saw it maybe in the introduction. Jenkins is, I would say, one of the most well-known open source projects. And we as a company, we as CloudBees, we are the main contributor. Our engineers, they work for free on the open source Jenkins project, which also means we are the only one providing the enterprise Jenkins version. And if you take a look at our website, the enterprise Jenkins product is called CloudBees CI. And obviously there's a native integration between Jenkins and CloudBees CD. And this integration is bidirectional, which means it's not only about triggering one pipeline there and one pipeline there, but it's also about managing and maintaining everything at scale. Because you typically either have one huge Jenkins master or you have many small Jenkins masters. Plus, you maybe use it for CI, you maybe use it for CD, and CloudBees CD is more or less that kind of glue which helps you to put it together, and also the data collection to be able to visualize it. And here are some examples of integration key points we deliver in the context of Jenkins and CloudBees CD. And yeah, we are happy if you use both of the products, right? And to sum it up, depending on your needs and your requirements, and happy to jump on a call to get a better understanding what is the biggest problem you want to solve. Depending on that problem, we typically focus on one or two specific key features to really prove that there's a tangible benefit using CloudBees CD. So it's maybe the deployment automation area. It's maybe about orchestrating the different technology silos and teams because you're missing the glue in between. Maybe you're missing security and compliance capabilities in your current setup. Then we can also solve that as well. So there are different areas where we typically focus, identify the pain, solve it using our product. Before we jump to the Q&A session, I would like to highlight, I would say, one of the most important DevOps events. This is a yearly event, and it's virtual again. It's organized by CloudBees, and it's a DevOps World, formerly also known as Jenkins World. And if you're in the DevOps space, feel free to join, feel free to participate. I mean, there are different really interesting sessions planned, and what I personally really like is to also have the opportunity to meet with other peers in that market, and also to do specific trainings. There are different trainings provided by different software vendors, including certifications. There are specific quizzes and games. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to join, to learn, and you know, to get something, a new item in your calendar. Thank you, and back to you, Bartek.
Bartek, I am sending you Bartek live. Yes, you're there.
So thank you, Stefan. Was I think one of the quickest one I've seen in the demonstration and the presentation from your side. So
it's called efficient.
Yeah, continuous improvement on your side as well. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it was great. So I think it would be good now to see if we have questions we could answer.
We have no questions that I can go public, so we will answer all the questions offline, I think, and we will choose. I think we can go to the Polish, yes?
No, so if we don't have a question,
no.
I think that I would ask a couple of questions to Stefan, which I know that I see being asked when I talk to customer. So Stefan, can you please explain the thing, because obviously your demo example was kind of easy one, right? Because it's the demo purpose, and we have time limitation, which is obvious, yeah. But the reality is usually not that simple, right? So the releases can be very complex. There can be several kind of releases approach or architecture of the releases. So there can be dependencies between the releases, or can you please explain how we can handle this kind of situation in reality?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it really depends on the way how our customers are typically focusing on the releases, because what we are seeing in today's world is that there are different concepts. Like I do have releases in parallel. I do have releases which are more or less like a streamline. So there's one big release which are handled as one release in the non-productive environments, and the closer you go to production, then you maybe have different speeds and you split up your release activities. Or you maybe have that kind of overarching like top release, which is triggering and orchestrating other releases as well. So it really depends on what you want to achieve, but the message here should be that we feel confident having a very flexible product to be able to cover all the different solution approaches, how to implement the releases.
Thank you very much for that. So I think that there is also a pretty common question which I get, because there is sometimes a kind of confusion between continuous delivery and application release orchestration, right? So is it CI/CD solution we are talking about, Stefan? Can you?
It's much more, I would say. It's much more. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, everything started, let's say, roughly 10 years ago, and that was also the time when Jenkins was born, right? So because applications and software, I hate to say it, but it's eating the world. Everybody needed to build more and more applications. They needed to be up to date. Automation was a key requirement, and it all started very, let's say, easy and straightforward in the area of continuous integration, then continuous delivery, kind of continuously rolling out specific application components. But today's world is much more complex, I would say, because companies are not only constantly changing the technology. Let's talk about, you know, the old application servers, and now we're talking about cloud native and Kubernetes. So that kind of technology mix, but also from a process perspective, there's a big mix in regards to, I do have release teams who are really fast, like, you know, they can release any point of time. And then I have those traditional releases where you need to, you know, manage a release window on a weekend and that kind of stuff. So I would say CI and CD are disciplines focusing a lot on the automation capabilities, but then we have application release orchestration, which is, let's say, much more than CI and CD, because it's about, you know, connecting the different technologies, old and new, different teams, different release cadence, manual activities plus automated activities. So there's much more we need to be able to cover.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think that this is a great point, because obviously it would be perfect if we could talk only about the beautiful new approach to application, but the reality is that to be efficient, you know, we cannot only focus on new things, but we need to improve also the things which are there, and they will be there probably for the next couple of quarters or maybe years at least, right? And or maybe even for a longer time, because they work and they provide value. And I think that do you think, Stefan, it's fair to say that application release of orchestration can be a part of continuous delivery as an approach, but in general, the goal of applications orchestration is to help to manage and streamline and you know, manage the whole process of releases for the complex applications landscape for any company with different adoptions of, I don't know, agile, DevOps, continuous integration, continuous delivery.
Okay, this was now a very complex question. I will try to answer it simply. So application release orchestration, I mean, I more or less agree with you, because we need to respect the history. We need to put also the existing applications into that big picture. I get it. I mean, I'm also a techie and I would love to work only with a shiny new technology, but not every company is a digital native. Not every company has cloud native technology only, which means I think the challenge in today's world is to be able to support both worlds. So at the end of the day, the companies get enough capacity to transition, because every company wants to be in that cloud native and shiny world. But for doing that, you need to get more time, more resources, and more bandwidth. And to do so, you need to automate, you need to orchestrate, and you need, I believe, a solution like CloudBees CD to really free up your people.
Yeah, I think that's the right point. Completely agree with you. Philip, do we have any more questions maybe in the meantime, or not?
No, nothing's appeared. Yeah, we've got an offline, and we will put this on the web page, the answers, and please ask them. I'm talking to all of you. Please ask them even offline. I have put my email in the session of answers and questions. So please do not hesitate. Put some things, and we will answer it. Also, if you want to meet us live, maybe I will put myself live. Also, if you want to meet us, you want some POC, you want some information about solutions, please contact us, Bartosz or me. We will contact you, and we will go with a deeper understanding of your systems and solution for you. I think we can do this like that and say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. Thank you very much, Stefan, and thank you for joining us, all the attendees for joining us today. And I hope we will be in touch sooner than later.
Thank you.
Thank you.